Nobody saw it coming. Not Rasheeda. Not the cast. Not even VH1. The dust had barely settled between Rasheeda, Jasmine, and Kirk when a storm started brewing in the quietest way, a single photo. One image. That's all it took to blow everything up. Jasmine didn't scream. She didn't throw drinks. She didn't even flinch. She just reached into her bag, pulled out an envelope, and handed Rasheeda the truth like it was a simple receipt. But it wasn't simple. It was devastating. It was betrayal packaged in paper. A toddler's face stared back at Rasheeda. Soft curls, brown eyes, and a smile that made her stomach twist. It was the smile that did it. That unmistakable Kirk Frost gap. She looked up slowly, her breath catching in her throat. What is this? Jasmine didn't hesitate. That's Zayden. He's 2. And he's Kirk's second child. Not mine. Someone else's. And I've known, since the beginning. The silence in that room was deafening, thicker than any argument ever filmed, heavier than any slap or side-eye ever aired. Rasheeda didn't blink. Didn't move. She just stared. As if her body refused to let her process one more betrayal. From the man she had already forgiven too many times. Jasmine's voice was shaking, but her words were razor sharp. I'm not doing this to hurt you, she whispered. I'm doing this because you deserve the whole truth. Rasheeda's face didn't soften. You've been doing this to me since season 6. But this wasn't just another plot twist. For ratings. This was a collapse. Rasheeda leaned in, searching Jasmine's eyes for the lie, the setup, the script, but it wasn't there. Jasmine pulled out her phone and tapped a voice memo. She didn't speak. She just let it play. A voice, soft and nervous, filtered through the speaker. Hi Jasmine. I hope this isn't weird. I've been trying to figure out how to say this for a while. My son's father is Kirk. I didn't know about you or Rasheeda until after. But I think you deserve to know. He denied it, but we did a private test. It came back positive. That voice didn't belong to Jasmine. It was someone else, Maya. And she wasn't hiding anymore. Rasheeda stood up like the floor had turned to lava. No. No. You are not doing this to me again. Jasmine rose too, hands trembling but voice steady. I'm not dragging you. I'm exposing him. Because he's been lying to all of us. And then, boom. The door slammed open. Miss Charlene. Rasheeda's mama. Hair wrapped, eyes blazing. She'd heard everything. Another damn baby? Another woman? And this fool didn't even tell my daughter. That's when Rasheeda broke. Mama, I can't do this again. I can't. Jasmine tried to explain. But Miss Charlene wasn't having it. You shut up. You should have told us the moment you found out. Don't act noble now after all the hell you put us through. Rasheeda's tears started falling, not slow, hard. I felt it. I knew something wasn't right. I didn't want it to be true. Production didn't cut. No one said stop. Because while the family was breaking down, the footage was going viral. One of the producers had already leaked a still from the scene to a gossip blog. By midnight, the internet had its hands on it. Kirk Frost has another secret child? Rasheeda blindsided on camera again? Miss Charlene pops off. The headlines wrote themselves. Comments flooded in like a tsunami. Kirk got another baby? Lock this man up. Rasheeda is way too calm. I'd have flipped that whole set. Why Jasmine always acting like she doing it for sisterhood? Girl, bye. But the part that had fans screaming? Jasmine had receipts. Screenshots of wire transfers, $7.50 a month sent to a fake LLC. An LLC that just so happened to be registered to the same address as Maya. A photo of Kirk at a Shell gas station, hoodie up, baby on his hip, sunglasses down, but the face was unmistakable. Kirk. Caught. Again, Rasheeda sat in her dressing room like a ghost. Eyes red, hands shaking, her brand team whispering in circles behind her. How many times, she muttered. How many damn times is he gonna play me? No one answered. Because this wasn't just drama. This was pain, raw, unedited, unfiltered. Pain. 2 days passed and silence swallowed the set. VH1 entered full panic mode. Jasmine had vanished. Kirk was off the grid. Rasheeda stopped answering texts. The whole reunion was crumbling. Then it happened. A live notification. My_the_muse. Was going live, with Jasmine. The moment people saw that screen, they tapped in. Thousands. Then tens of thousands. Maya sat in her living room. Toys scattered behind her. No glam. No filter. I didn't want this, she said. I never wanted to be part of the show. The mess. I was just raising my son. Quietly. But when I saw Kirk on TV pretending to be a good man, I snapped. Jasmine didn't speak. Just nodded. Maya inhaled deep. We did a private paternity test. 99.9%. It's him. She held up the paperwork on live. Clear. Stamped. Sealed. But that wasn't the twist. Maya had audio. She tapped. Play. Look, you know how this goes. Don't let Rasheeda find out. We'll take care of the boy. Just keep it low. Kirk's voice. That same tired, guilty tone Rasheeda had heard years ago. Rasheeda watched the live from her bedroom. Alone. No glam. Just pain. And when she heard that voice, she dropped her phone. Her soul sank. This wasn't speculation anymore. This was real. History didn't just repeat, it dragged her through the same fire all over again, but this time with the whole world watching. Meanwhile, Kirk finally surfaced, but not with a post. Not with an apology. Paparazzi caught him sneaking out of a lawyer's office. Hoodie on. Sunglasses hiding his eyes. Head low. TMZ slapped a headline up within minutes. Kirk Frost hiding after second baby bombshell. Rasheeda devastated. Jasmine ended the live with one final line. I'm not proud of how I came into Rasheeda's life, but I won't let another woman suffer the way I did. Maya added one sentence that echoed through timelines and blogs like a slap. Kirk said he was done with drama. He meant he was done getting caught. VH1 executives were stunned. The cast didn't even have to film anymore. The show was writing itself. Rasheeda refused to speak to producers. Y'all not gonna use my heartbreak again. You want a moment? Put him in a chair. No edits. No excuses. Or I walk. For good. The ultimatum was set. The clock started ticking. And while the world was focused on Kirk, a different storm was brewing quietly, online, in whispers, in music. Something that had nothing to do with babies or reality TV, but everything to do with legacy, truth, and the crown. The pressure on Kirk was unbearable. He had avoided filming, ducked producers, ghosted his own PR team, but there was no escaping. Now, the streets were talking, the blogs were screaming, and Rasheeda had drawn a line in concrete. No more silence. No more spin. If Kirk wanted to speak, he'd have to do it face to face, on camera, no edits, no lifelines. The network scrambled. They needed the footage. They needed the confrontation. And finally, after days of blackout, Kirk agreed. But under one condition. I speak to Rasheeda alone. No Jasmine, no producers. Just me and her. It was a trap and an apology waiting to detonate. But before they could even schedule the sit-down, something even bigger exploded across the internet. What started as whispers became movement. What looked like a viral performance turned into a cultural uprising. And at the center of it, Kendrick Lamar and SZA. The shift started quietly, a performance clip shared by a fan. Then a snippet of lyrics. Then a grainy video from the side of the stage. It wasn't a diss track, it was a dismantling. No names, just bars. No direct attacks, just truth layered in metaphors so sharp they cut deeper than shade. But the industry knew who was being addressed. This wasn't subtle. This was seismic. And just like that, the music world cracked open. The performance, dubbed Legacy Dust, became a rallying cry. Kendrick and SZA weren't just targeting rivals, they were questioning the whole system. Legacy, illusion, entitlement, silence. And while fans were screaming about the bars, the labels were panicking about the backlash. Within 24 hours, the performance was scrubbed from key playlists. Spotify removed it from New Music Friday. Apple Music flagged the video as performance art, stripping it of promotion. Even YouTube hit fan uploads with limited monetization warnings. It was censorship disguised as curation, and the internet saw right through it. The fans didn't back down. They doubled down. TikTok turned the lyrics into movement anthems. When the machine fears you, that's how you know you're telling the truth, one creator posted, and it went viral. Reddit threads dissected every frame, every lyric, every pause. They didn't just hear the message, they felt it. And then came the leak. A studio snippet titled Fall from Grace hit the web. And this time, names weren't just dropped, they were dragged. She wore a crown of plastic and bars borrowed from blogs. I watched the kingdom fold behind a curtain of applause. That was Kendrick. Cold, poetic, surgical. Then came SZA, her voice low and lethal. Told me I'd never last without pop appeal, but forgot I never needed a ghost to write how I feel. The internet exploded. Was that a shot at Nicki Minaj? At Drake? The timeline fractured. Stan armies mobilized. Nicki went live on Queen Radio with no filter. I heard the whispers. A rapper and an R&B whisperer think they can end a dynasty? I am the dynasty. The fans gasped. Then she dropped her unreleased track, Crown Theft. Her bars were venom. They threw stones from glass sessions, forgot who built the blueprint for confessions. Cut from the cloth your verses imitate. The only queen left, check the dinner plate. The barbs lit up social media like wildfire. Hashtag crown theft trended instantly. But it didn't stop there. Moments later, Kendrick posted a single black and white photo. A long dinner table. Empty chairs. One crown. Upside down. Caption, royalty ain't inherited. It's earned in silence. And just like that, the balance shifted again. SZA reposted the photo with a single dove emoji. Peaceful. Strategic. Dangerous. This wasn't just music anymore. This was a reckoning. But behind the scenes, something even more damning surfaced. A document leaked from a Discord server, allegedly tied to an engineer who'd worked on Kendrick and SZA's new project. Inside, a folder labeled GNX_closure_visual_final. It outlined a 3-part rollout. Each video targeting a core piece of the industry. Part 1, Idols and Illusions. Part 2, Ghost Crowns. Part 3, What's Left When It Ends. The schedule was synced to a mysterious countdown that had just appeared on SZA's website. A black screen. Red ticking numbers. No promo. No captions. Just one word, closure. Reddit blew up. Was this a full visual documentary? A music film? An expose disguised as art? Then came the second bomb. A voice memo, leaked from the same folder, featuring Kendrick's voice. Calm. Certain. We're not making diss tracks. We make documentaries wrapped in rhythm. Let them respond with bars, we'll respond with truth. That quote became gospel. Podcasts called it the beginning of a creative civil war. The fans called it liberation. And as the countdown ticked lower, Universal Music reportedly held emergency meetings. They knew what was coming wasn't just content, it was collapse, and meanwhile, Drake was silent. But whispers said he was furious. Insiders leaked that he believed Kendrick and SZA had been planning this moment for over a year. The betrayal wasn't just artistic, it was strategic. Then a listening party invite leaked. Not for a new Drake album, but a secret collab between Nicki Minaj and Travis Scott, titled Unshaken. The invite said, in response to recent shifts in public narrative, it's time to reframe power. Translation, retaliation is coming, but the fans? They weren't waiting. They were choosing sides. Kendrick and SZA or Young Money. Art or algorithm. Impact or influence. Reddit called it the spiritual split of hip-hop. One viral comment read, Drake built an empire off moods. Kendrick built one off movements. There's a difference. Another, Nicki screaming from the throne while it crumbles. SZA and Kendrick whispering while setting it on fire. And then, right in the middle of this digital inferno, J. Cole posted a black screen to his story. Caption, I see it. Loud and clear. That was it. Just silence and suspense. Was he joining the war? Staying neutral? Taking a side? Fans flooded. Timelines with theories. Some said he'd drop a mediation track. Others believed he was the secret feature on Closure Part 3. Either way, the lines were drawn. The thrones were shaking back at VH1, none of this was going unnoticed. Ratings were dipping, not because people weren't watching, but because they were watching something else. Something bigger. Rasheeda's heartbreak was real. But now there was a bigger truth unraveling in the culture, a reckoning of legacies, power, and authenticity. And whether they liked it or not, Rasheeda, Kirk, and Jasmine were just one part of a much larger storm, because the real question wasn't just about who cheated. It was about who controlled the story. And in every arena, reality TV, music, legacy, and truth, that control was slipping fast. Rasheeda sat in silence, eyes fixed on the mirror, but she wasn't looking at her reflection anymore, she was looking through it. Through the years she'd held it all together. Through the betrayals she buried. Through the brands she built while her heart stayed bruised. The latest revelation had shifted something in her. This wasn't just about Kirk anymore. It wasn't even just about the baby. It was about being tired. About refusing to play the fool in a rerun of a show she never signed up to relive. And now, the world was watching. The reunion wasn't just a TV event anymore, it had turned into a cultural mirror. And what it was reflecting was unbearable. While the countdown to closure ticked in silence across the globe, Rasheeda made a decision. She showed up to set. No glam, no entourage, just her and a folder in hand. Inside were documents. Business licenses. Ownership changes. Power transfers. Frost Bistro was now solely under her name. No press release. No post. Just action. And when Kirk finally arrived, escorted by 2 producers and a network exec, he looked like a man who hadn't slept in days. Hoodie pulled low. Eyes heavy. He sat across from her, the cameras rolling. But this time, Rasheeda spoke first. You don't get to control the story anymore. I do. He opened his mouth. She raised her hand. Don't. Just listen. Outside of the set, the rest of the world had already shifted focus. The leaked audio, the countdown, the whispers of revolution weren't whispers anymore, they were movement. Kendrick and SZA were no longer just artists. They were architects of collapse. And right on time, the final leak arrived. An internal streaming memo titled YMC Disruption Mitigation Protocol. Tier 1 artists hit the internet like a bomb. It exposed a planned counterattack, coordinated nostalgia campaigns, influencer rollouts, DSP homepage takeovers featuring Drake and Nicki's back catalogs, and, most tellingly, a Young Money tribute event scheduled to air just 24 hours before the rumored closure live stream. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a diversion. But it was too late. The audience already saw behind the curtain, and they weren't looking away. On November 11th, the clock hit 0. The live stream didn't begin with music. It began with silence. A black screen. Then, one by one, the faces of anonymous artists, dancers, writers, and fans appeared. They shared whispered stories of exploitation, manipulation, lost credits, and broken dreams. Then came SZA, barefoot, standing in a dim studio, holding a mirror. She didn't speak. She just stared at the reflection. And then Kendrick appeared. Beside her. "We built this from pain," he said. "Not with filters, not with charts, but with scars." He held up a notebook, pages torn, lyrics scribbled, blood smeared across the bottom corner. "This industry don't need kings and queens. It needs accountability." Then came the first track, Idols and Illusions. Raw. Acoustic. No effects. The internet didn't just watch. It wept. As the visual shifted to ghost crowns, the focus turned to the machine. Clips of award shows, rigged contracts, payola schemes. Old footage of artist breakdowns spliced with fan worship. Then, finally, what's left when it ends? The final piece. A montage of headlines dissolving into smoke. Fame melting into truth. And there, at the center, a golden throne, empty, burning, melting. Text flashed, "No kings. No queens. Just truth." Underneath, 11/11, the fall of idols.it was breathtaking. And brutal. Within hours, the internet imploded. Legacy Dust was dubbed. The documentary wrapped in rhythm that changed the game. Streaming services scrambled. Spotify and Apple Music were forced to refeature the tracks. Fan uploads flooded YouTube. The closure project wasn't just a drop, it was a detonation. Critics called it the most important music event since Lemonade. Commentators labeled it the beginning of a new era. Labels panicked. And Drake? Still. No response. Nicki tried. She dropped a surprise track titled Throne Reborn, but it was drowned out by the aftershocks. Even her own fans were split, some celebrating, others begging her to stop. "We love you, but this ain't it," one viral comment read. "Let it go. The shift already happened." Meanwhile, in Atlanta, Rasheeda released a statement. Not through VH1. Not on a reunion stage. But on her own terms. A video, simple, clean. "This chapter ends with me walking away, not as a victim, but as a woman who finally chose herself." She didn't cry. She didn't rant. She stood with her chin high and her heart still cracked, but healing. She confirmed her full ownership of Frost Bistro, announced a brand relaunch under the name Unbreakable, and quietly unfollowed Kirk on every platform. It wasn't petty. It was power, and as if the universe was syncing her freedom with the industry's purge, fans began drawing parallels between the two worlds. One viral tweet read, "Rasheeda walking away from Kirk while SZA and Kendrick burn down the throne? That's not coincidence. That's cultural cleansing." The tweet hit 250,000 likes in an hour. Comment sections filled with solidarity. "We're done watching queens carry broken empires. The era of suffering in silence is over. Whether it's love or music, truth wins now." By the end of that week, closure had sparked more than reactions, it had ignited reformation. Several independent artists stepped forward sharing similar stories of being shelved, silenced, or suppressed. Hashtags like #NoMoreGhostCrowns and #ArtOverAlgorithm dominated platforms. Rasheeda's video had been reposted over 3 million times. People were no longer seeing her as just a cast member. She had become a symbol. A woman reclaiming her narrative during a time when the entire industry was doing the same, and yet, even with the storm still swirling, something deeper was happening. People were asking new questions. Who actually benefits when legacies are built on silence? Why are we so quick to forgive powerful men? Why do we call pain part of the game? And why is it that every time a woman speaks truth, she's labeled bitter, but when she stays silent, they call her strong? Those questions weren't just for Rasheeda. They were for the culture. For the music. For the fans. And closure didn't offer answers. It simply ripped the bandage off. It forced the world to look. To listen. To feel. By the end of that month, VH1 released a statement that the upcoming reunion would be the most honest episode in franchise history. But Rasheeda? She didn't show. She left them with footage, tears, and truths, but no return. "I gave y'all enough," she said in a post. "Now I give myself peace." And so, in a year where crowns melted, empires cracked, and silence became a weapon, the women rose, not perfectly, but powerfully. Rasheeda left the man. SZA burned the throne. And Kendrick proved that sometimes the loudest legacy is built in silence, because in the end, truth didn't need autotune. It didn't need edits or algorithms. It just needed to be heard. And now, it was.